We live in a culture that treats psychological tension as a problem to be solved. The goal of much modern therapy, wellness culture, and self-help literature is the reduction of discomfort, the achievement of a calm, balanced, tension-free inner state. Viktor Frankl thought this was not only misguided but potentially dangerous. He proposed, instead, the concept of noödynamics, the idea that healthy human psychology requires a certain kind of tension rather than its absence. Not the tension of unresolved neurotic conflict, but the tension between where a person stands and the meaning that beckons them forward. The word itself comes from the Greek nous, meaning mind or spirit, and dynamics, meaning force or movement. Noödynamics is the force of meaning in motion, the pull that a person feels when they sense that there is something they are supposed to do, to create, to give, to become. It is the productive friction between the actual and the possible. Frankl drew a sharp contrast here with what he called the homeostasis models of psychology, theories that treat the human being as a system striving toward internal equilibrium. On this view, anxiety and tension are signs that the system is out of balance, and the goal of therapy is restoration. Tension equals disorder. Peace equals health. Frankl did not deny that some tension is pathological. Neurotic anxiety, the looping repetition of unresolved fear, the paralysis of hyperintention, these are genuine clinical problems. But he insisted that there is another kind of tension that is not only non-pathological but is in fact constitutive of a well-lived life. The tension between who you are and what you are called to do is not a symptom. It is a sign of life. Consider what happens in its absence. A person who has achieved complete equilibrium, who has settled all conflicts, resolved all questions, neutralized all drive, is not healthy. They are stagnant. The loss of tension Frankl described as existential vacuum, the inner emptiness of someone who has nothing left to strive toward. This vacuum, paradoxically, is far more psychologically dangerous than healthy tension. It is the breeding ground for depression, aggression, and addiction. The logic of noödynamics explains something that many people find counterintuitive: why highly successful people often collapse after reaching a major goal. They have spent years oriented toward a destination, a degree, a promotion, a milestone. The tension of pursuit gave their days shape and their choices weight. When they arrive, the tension disappears. And in its absence, they feel not satisfaction but emptiness. The achievement was not the point. The meaningful striving toward it was. This is not a call to permanent dissatisfaction or restless ambition. Frankl was not advocating for a life of anxious achievement. He was making a more subtle point, that meaning is always ahead of us, always something to be found and lived rather than possessed and stored. A life without this forward pull is a life that has lost its orientation. In therapeutic terms, noödynamics suggests that the goal of treatment is not to eliminate all discomfort, but to help the patient find a worthy tension to live toward. The question is not how to feel less but how to want more, how to recover the sense of being called by something larger than the immediate situation. When a patient can answer that question, even tentatively, the therapeutic work has achieved something essential. Frankl often used the metaphor of an arch to illustrate this. An arch requires opposing pressures to remain standing. Remove the tension between the stones and the arch collapses. What appears to be conflict is actually structural integrity. Similarly, the human psyche requires the counterpressure of meaning, something that pushes back against complacency, that refuses to let a person settle entirely into themselves. The world we inhabit offers unprecedented comfort and an extraordinary capacity to eliminate discomfort on demand. We can numb, distract, and anesthetize ourselves with remarkable efficiency. Frankl's noödynamics stands as a warning against exactly this tendency. Not all tension is noise. Some of it is the signal that tells you are still alive and still called. Subscribe to The Psychology of Viktor Frankl to explore more of his timeless ideas.